Trump held a briefing with North Carolina emergency responders in response to Helene. This is just earlier. Gotta see this. Wow, that audio is bad. Let me see if I can find a better video. That audio, man. Holy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Potable water and
okay. I think I found
more reliable very quickly. Today I'll also be signing an executive order slashing all red tape and bureaucratic barriers and permits to ensure the rapid reconstruction of the roads here in western North Carolina. We're going to go through a permitting process that's called no permitting, just get it done. That's the way they built them many years ago, I guarantee you that, right? We will get them back very quickly, and we'll begin the work of fundamentally changing, terminating, or overhauling FEMA. FEMA's been a disaster, no matter where they are. We're honored to be joined today very quickly by several families affected by...
That's great, man. Okay, wait. This is from PBS. This audio is also terrible. Are they sourcing it from the same camera? Why is the audio bad?
Well, thank you very much.
I need to find the full audio for this. He said he's getting rid of FEMA, or considering it.
And one of the things that are very important to me, and one of the reasons I'm happy that we won so convincingly, is to help North Carolina get fixed up. They supported us in record numbers, and I'm supporting them in record numbers, too. And they had me set. I wanted to go to Los Angeles and see what was going on with California, why they aren't releasing the water. Millions and millions of gallons of water. They're sending it out to the Pacific.
Is this video better?
Going to explain that
happening right.
Okay, I think this audio might be better. God save me.
Now, President Trump is sitting down with Hurricane Helene first responders as part of his first trip since taking office. And we have some breaking news from the president on the future of FEMA. Let's take a listen from just moments ago.
I'll also be signing an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA, or maybe getting rid of FEMA. I think, frankly, FEMA is not good. I think when you have
the audio is the same. No, it's not.
Problem like this, I think you want to go and whether it's a Democrat or Republican governor, you want to use your state to fix it and not waste time calling FEMA. And then FEMA gets here and they don't know the area. They've never been to the area, and they want to give you...
That's why FEMA works with... First of all, FEMA has branches all over the United States and people with different areas of familiarity. Secondly, they work with local officials. They don't just, like, storm in there with no prior knowledge.
Rules that you've never heard about. They want to bring people that aren't as good as the people you already have. And FEMA's turned out to be a disaster. And you could go back a long way. You could go back to Louisiana. You could go back to some of the things that took place in Texas. It turns out to be the state that ends up doing the work. It just complicates it. I think we're going to recommend that FEMA go away.
Oh,
and
boy.
we pay directly. We pay a percentage to the state.
A percentage? Earlier, he was like, the state will handle it. We'll cover it. Now he's like, oh, we'll refund you 50% of the local. Oh, my God.
The state should fix this. If the state did this from the beginning, it would have been a lot better situation. I think this
is going to absolutely red state. Nah, I guarantee you, this is all going to end up being another form of subcontracting or something. It's going to be like, you know, we'll refund all the money if the state is willing to, like, employ the services of this disaster relief company that's made up 90% of people who used to work at FEMA, but now there's a guy at the top cutting like 90% of the money.
You guys agree with that, right? So I just want to say that Asheville, I know it well. It's a great place, and we're going to have it be a great place again. That was the one that was most severely affected. But North Carolina is going to come back bigger, better, stronger than ever before. And you're going to be very thankful. And you've already seen, I know that it really began 4 days ago, but you've already seen more action than you have in the last 3 months. And we're going to get it together. We're informing the Army Corps of Engineers to get going. Because you have a lot of river breaks and a lot of areas that you're going to need some pretty big work. And they're on their way. They're going to be working much harder than they've been working in the past, and we're going to take care of it. Any questions from the press of any of the congressmen, governor, anybody?
Any questions in response to the absolutely insane, like, union-destroying shit that I've just proposed?
Sir, are you going to sign an executive order on FEMA, getting rid of it? Can you say more about signing an executive order to get rid of FEMA, please?
FEMA has been a very big disappointment. They cost a tremendous amount of money. It's very bureaucratic, and it's very slow. Other than that, we're very happy with them. Okay, and I think when there's a problem
he's funny.
with the state, I think that problem should be taken care of by the state. That's what we have states for. They take care of problems. And a governor can handle something very quickly. You know, one of the things I've noticed, because I'm
saying this in North Carolina, a state which cannot take care of its own problems, is so funny, man. There are only a few states that are a net budget surplus to the federal government. California, Washington, and New England, basically. Like the Northeast area. That's it. I think like Colorado, Wyoming, Illinois as well. Yeah, maybe. It's not that many. Florida and Texas too. Is Florida currently? Just because Florida has a lot of money doesn't mean it has a lot of money to give. Maybe Texas? Florida and Texas are a net drain? Yeah, I think they are. Florida and Texas are a net drain, I'm pretty sure. Hold on, I swear to God, I saw a chart about this.
Been doing this for a while, and we had a pretty good FEMA, but I also noticed that when they come, they end up in arguments. They're fighting all the time over who does what. It's just not a good system.
Trump deleted the maps. That's true.
It's so beautifully designed over 250 years, approximately. You know, and we'll soon be celebrating the 250th year. It's going to be a very big celebration. But it's been designed very well, and we're going to leave it that way. When North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, when everybody knows the governor of Tennessee, I think. Everybody? Do you know everybody here, pretty much? He's I never thought of it, but you're right over the ridge.
Right over the
So you're here to help. That's great.
The people in this region, including Tennessee, the people of Appalachia, are grateful that you are here and that you haven't forgotten them. And that there are other disasters, but this one was enormous for both North Carolina and Tennessee. So thank you.
You know, I've seen a lot of disasters, and when I came here right after, the day after. And
there we go, finally. Jesus Christ. The states that are tinted red, this is still an awful graph, are the ones that give more than they receive from the federal government. So the deeper the green, the more they take from the government relative to how much they give back. And yeah, Florida and Texas are in the green. California is just barely over the line into being a net surplus. Washington, Illinois, New York, and then yeah, you've got the Northeast. I saw a different graph. There are lots of ways of measuring this. This is the one I saw on Twitter earlier. Balance of payments. There we go. There we go. And this is, yeah, okay. Ooh, we love our numbers, don't we, folks? Anyway, the point that I'm getting at here is that if you're in one of the blue states here, getting rid of FEMA will not be good for you, okay? That's all I have to say. Are red states more likely to experience natural disaster? Pay attention! The red states are the ones that have more money to throw around. What's the deal with New Mexico again? What the f do you mean, what's the deal? It has Albuquerque? What do you mean, what's the deal? It's a poor state. Okay, we're paying attention now. Not to that, not to that, not to that, to this.
I came here, I couldn't believe it, actually. I couldn't believe the damage. And I've seen a lot of them. This was...
Stupid question, may have missed it. I get why blowing up FEMA is bad, but would it really dissolve the union? I think that it would be one of the biggest things you could do towards dissolving the union, yeah, genuinely. Even if it's replaced with some kind of, like, federal entity, yeah. Because, like, the cost a major natural disaster is so great that very rarely will a state be able to respond to it, even if they get some kind of reimbursement from the government. And it basically f***s like the entire structure of support that is typically what the union is built on. You know what I mean? This is basically like the origin of federalism, right? I learned about it in the excellent historical biopic Hamilton on Broadway, where like some of the earliest steps towards federalism were the pastoral states assuming the debt of the northern, more urban states that was assumed during the Revolutionary War, which was, by the way, a good thing. That was objectively the right thing to do. Hamilton was correct on that one. The idea that the entire Union benefits from independence from the British, but the only ones that should have to pay for it were was like New York, because they indebted themselves because they were the ones with like the trade capacity to take on those debts. Total bullshit. Obviously, the debt should have been shared around.
This was more like a tornado than it was what we witnessed. So we're going to get it very much taken care of. Good job. That's nice that you came. And so you call it right. You're right over the ridge, right, Tennessee?
Right over the ridge, yes.
I like Tennessee too. Let's see. Where did I get more votes, Tennessee or North Carolina? I hate to tell you, North Carolina. It was Tennessee.
There's one of the counties in this disaster that had 88% for you. So
88%. Yeah, no, it's the people are just incredible people.
Yeah.
So, do you have any questions, press?
President, you talked about conditions being placed on aid to California, voter ID and the like. Are there any conditions that you're going to put on aid to North Carolina?
We're going to do a lot for North Carolina. Yeah. They've been very slow. I don't know why it's been so bad. This has been one of the worst I've seen. Katrina, of course, was...
You going to put any conditions on North Carolina? We love North Carolina, don't we? Not like stinky California, which didn't vote for me.
Something that obviously that was a long time ago. That was not good. But this has been very slow. I don't know if that was for political reasons because they lost the state. Biden lost the state. Maybe he felt he doesn't care. Maybe there were other reasons. I don't know. But this has been very slow. By any standard, this has been very slow. And we're gonna make up for lost time.
No conditions. You're going to push for aid.
Well, in California, I have a condition. In California, we want them to have voter ID so the people have a voice, because right now...
The private contractors that will bid for North Carolina's contracts to rebuild the area are Innovative Emergency Management, and I think Teltra or something. IEM is literally mentioned in the shock doctrine. They're still on it, huh? Yeah, I'm telling you, this is just another way of giving money to private... to capital, but our budgets are already overstretched. Like there is a breaking point, the problem right now in terms of the problem for the bourgeoisie is that their greed is actually exceeding the ability for the United States to pay out. Like, we have the biggest GDP of any country in human history. It's all going up to the top. They still want it to go faster. If you make it go so fast that you're starting to extort state governments for the billions that it takes to rebuild after natural disasters, and they don't have that money, eventually you are literally exceeding the productive capabilities of the planet. You're hollowing it out to a point where you can't even grow to that point anymore,
People don't have a voice because you don't know who's voting, and it's very corrupt. And we also want them to release the water. If they released the water, they wouldn't have had a problem. If they released the water when I told them to, because I told them to do it 7 years ago, if they would have done it, you wouldn't have had the problem.
Still on the water.
You might not have even had a fire. So, but here I don't have that. It's a different thing. You got hit by a storm. The people are incredible. They worked really well. Franklin was fantastic, and other groups. By the way, other groups came in that were also fantastic, and other states came in. Tennessee and a couple of others came in, and they really helped. That's the way it's supposed to be. No, this is a different kind of a thing.
Mr. President, have you decided how much funding you would allocate for disaster relief in North Carolina?
About what?
Have you decided how much funding you would allocate for disaster relief?
I haven't. I have to see what it is.
Are you disappointed that Senator Schiff hasn't joined you on this trip? It's reported he invited Senator Schiff to join you on this trip and he was too busy. Are you disappointed?
I don't know. I was told that Schiff was going to travel with us to California. I wasn't thrilled, to be honest with you. And I saw him last night on television. It looks like he got hit with a baseball bat or something. What happened to him? Something happened to him. It looked like he got hit. It looked like he got beat around. But I'll ask Caroline to find out what happened to him. No, if he wanted to come out, I would have done that. But I don't know. Somebody said that he wanted to come on the plane, but I think he's staying back for the votes. There's some pretty good votes going on. Yeah.
Mr. President, what is your timeline for getting rid of FEMA?
For this one? For this one?
This one?
About possibly getting rid of FEMA. What timeline are you looking at, and how would you do that?
Well, we're looking here. Here you're talking about. To start, we're going to start immediately timeline. And
what?
To finish, it's going to be a period of time.
What?
People are also rebuilding their houses. How long does it take to build a house, right? It takes a time. And I want
I don't even
them
understand
to build houses bigger, better, nicer than they had before, so they can have.
I think. Does he think she meant how long will it take for the cleanup to happen? I don't think he understood that question. I don't think that was even like a skillful dodge or whatever. I think that he just didn't hear her or something.
At least they get something out of this disaster. This was a real disaster. No, timeline will be fast. In terms of infrastructure, I think very fast.
Yeah, okay, for sure. He absolutely just didn't.
Because Elon was able to get us communication systems, as
Thanks,
you know.
Elon.
Starlink. We had no communication. The first day I got here, I was asked by one of the people, one of the really great representatives, professionals, that is there any way you could get Starlink here, because they had no communication whatsoever. And I called up Elon Musk, and he had, hundreds of units brought here, brought immediately. And it's hard to get. They couldn't get them before. And that made a lot of difference. I think it saved a lot of lives, actually. Yeah. Infrastructure-wise.
No, he's just bullshitting. Normally, I think he's just bullshitting. This time, I genuinely think it's just him being 100 years old. Normally, yeah, I agree. It's like a deliberate obfuscation tactic. This time, I actually just don't think he understood the question.
Do it quickly.
Sir, can you just talk about how long you think it might take to get rid of FEMA?
Okay, yeah, see, he agrees. He's like, okay, let's, do you think the female reporter who asked the question the first time was elbowing him and being like, if I ask a third time, he'll have me executed? Could you ask this time?
Timeline on that. We're going to roll it back.
Yeah, I would say, look, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really thinking about FEMA right now here. I'm thinking about Michael Watley, and I'm thinking about the 3 Congress people that you just heard from, and also the other people in Congress, and they'll be working with the governor. They'll be working with the governor.
Okay, I genuinely have no idea. Now that's a dodge. Yeah, okay, it's a dodge, but it's an obfuscation in a manner most perplexing. Okay, he's hitting me with tactics I'm not familiar with. That dodge was on purpose. Yeah, but I don't even know what it's for. I don't even know what it means. He's hitting me with iframes that I can't even begin to comprehend. How do you roll catch this?
So that's what I see.
Change the subject real quickly. The Laken-Riley Act was signed by Mike Speaker Johnson yesterday.
I heard that.
When do you anticipate to sign that in
Well, we're honored by that. Laken-Riley, I was there at the time, and we had a big meeting with the parents right after that horrible thing took place. And we have an act. You all know what that act represents. And it was a bipartisan bill. Many Democrats signed onto it. That's something that is a tribute to Laken. Beautiful.
To be fair, FEMA has not helped much. They keep kicking people out of hotels and telling us they can't fix homes because they can't prove the damage was caused by the storm. I'm not saying that FEMA always does their job well. I think that FEMA is much better at emergency relief and disaster sort of mitigation than they are in terms of long-term rebuilding. The problem is that the underlying cause of this is that they're underfunded, and it will be more expensive to do things privately than it will be to go through them. There is no private company in the world that has the money in their coffers or the ability to repair something like Hurricane Helene or the Los Angeles wildfires. It would bankrupt the wealthiest corporations on Earth. It would be just the amount of money that it would take to undo damage like that, to build everything incomprehensible. Not to mention insurance payouts? Oh man, there's a reason why they're not offering home insurance in those areas anymore, and it's because no company could afford to sustain it. There's no way, no government could. The US government would be bankrupted if it assumed responsibility for broad sweeping insurance payments for the kinds of things like natural disasters, hurricanes, fires, whatever else. It's just, and it's only going to get worse. And it's only going to get worse. Again, I'm not trying to be grim or glib or anything like that, but if you, family, friends, whatever, if you live in an area that is very susceptible to climate change related shenanigans, I would just strongly recommend that you just work towards building up the kind of bank account that you would need to get the fuck out of there. Okay. For the most part, the Northwest, the Great Lakes area, the Northeast, these areas are a little bit better off than Florida, Texas, the Southwest. I'm just saying.
Young lady who was killed viciously by an illegal alien. And we passed a very powerful bill, and it was just approved, and we'll have a ceremony sometime very shortly. I'll be signing it. In other words, if you're asking, I will definitely be signing it. Okay? Yeah.
Mr. President, the security detail for Anthony Fauci was terminated last night, and I'm wondering if you have any comment on that.
About what?
The security detail for Anthony Fauci was terminated last night, sir. Do you have a comment?
No, I think, when you work for government, at some point your security detail comes off. And, you can't have them forever. So I think it's very standard. If it would be for somebody else, you wouldn't be asking the question. The question is very fair. But, you work for government. We took some off other people, too. But you can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you work for government. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
No, presidents get security detail forever. In fairness, John Bolton's security detail was stupid. For one, John Bolton, and for two, the idea that he was actually at risk of being assassinated by Iranian agents. He has the money, he can afford his own security. There's a pretty big difference between providing indefinite Secret Service security for former presidents and John Bolton, you know? The only reason Trump was doing it is because he doesn't like Bolton, to be fair, but I also think it was stupid.
Something would happen to, say, Dr. Fauci or John Bolton?
No. You know, they all made a lot of money.
They're talking about Fauci? Sorry, I must have misheard. Well, she just mentioned Bolton as well. Fauci probably deserves the security because he's going to be attacked. There are probably, like, I don't know, at any given point in time, 500 people in the United States planning to assassinate him, you know?
Hire their own security, too. All the people you're talking about, they can go out. I can give them some good numbers of very good security people. They can hire their own security. They all made a lot of money. Fauci made a lot of money. They all did. So if they, felt that strongly, I think that certainly I would not take responsibility.
Now, North Carolina is a state that relies on trade and manufacturing. Are you going to have an announcement on new tariffs coming soon? Is there a timeline now?
Yeah, the tariffs are going to make our country rich. We're going to be a rich, rich country very soon. Tariffs are going to make.
See, recently that he said that America doesn't need any of Canada's natural resources. If you guys should be stockpiling. We'll see if it actually happens, man. A 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico is actually so insanely economically destructive that it's hard for me to imagine it's going to happen. I'm defaulting to the nothing ever happens position because I genuinely think that, like, the hand of God would reach down to stop that from happening before allowing, like, it's so bad, you know?
Rich and competence. We have common sense, competence, and tariffs. The word tariff is one of the most beautiful words in the dictionary.
Jonathan Reynolds, the business secretary of the United Kingdom.
And President Trump is talking to first responders there in Asheville, North Carolina, and taking some questions from reporters.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor. Man, getting rid of FEMA. He also spoke outside in North Carolina. Kind of curious on the dynamic here, if you don't mind me taking a quick little peek.
First, but there's been many different organizations and volunteers
hit so hard by Hurricane Helene, and that message is very simple. You are not forgotten any longer. You were treated very badly by the previous administration, and I'm here after a few days of the administration. We're going to California, Los Angeles. They got hit hard, as you know. A lot of that could have been prevented,
water.
I think, if they had water.
The water.
Which they had plenty of, but they didn't use it. But I'm going there. But and it was set up to go there. They said, well, what about North Carolina? They said, well, what would you? I said, I have to stop there first. I'm stopping in North Carolina. So we made the stop, and I feel very good. You're represented by some great people, great congressmen are with us, and we're going to get involved with them. And Michael Watley is here, who is the head of the Republican. Times of emergency like this, unfortunately, our government failed you. But it wasn't the Trump government. It was a government run by Biden.
Tiny.
We just lost everything that we had.
Gnome.
Didn't even have a brush for like 3 days. So. Thank you.
Blind and deaf dog and a bag of valuables and took up off the side of the hill behind my house. And then was heading to the cemetery back there.
That's true, man.
It was the locals.
Waste of time and money.
The locals and the people that knew us. And before the week was over, our church was so packed with supplies we couldn't even walk. Even in our sanctuary, it was up to the platform.
Isn't that good?
Of things, and in our halls and in our rooms, and we're just now beginning to get a little straightened out. But somebody said, how long are you going to be here? I said, I'm going to be here through the winter and even on, if possible, because when you meet people that's been through the struggle.
I think she's saying it's good.
I had a little lady
yeah, but it's from the
come
previous
up and,
administration.
I said, can we do anything special for you? And she said, I don't want to be selfish, but said, could I have a cup of coffee? And I handed her that coffee, and she stood there and tears just poured. She said, "You don't realize how important the little things. It's not the big things in life that we have, but it's the little things." And
she's saying it was from the community?
God
that's
is
nice.
our
Okay,
source.
gotcha.
I don't look to man. I don't have to have a lot of things. I had trees, about 20 trees down in my yard, but that didn't really matter. Doesn't matter, because the needs of the people is what I want to be there for. God is good.
Need help, because and sometimes there's even that survivor's guilt is what they're calling it, but you feel guilty to even be alive sometimes. When you look around, you see your neighbors that are gone, and it's just...
Have my emotions gone to whack, or does this shit not touch anyone anymore? I mean, I do think that, like, it is straining the limits of empathy when you hear these people's heartfelt stories and they're being used as a prop in aid of a fascist who is actively working to defund the system that helped them. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about antipathy towards them. It's that, like, this is literally being used as a political pretext for the worsening of the systems that they need to get back up on their feet. So, like, they're victims here, to be fair, but, like, these are also, I'm gonna guess, and you'll pardon me, probably Trump supporters. So they're not exactly helping themselves.
We need help.
And he's friends and works with these guys, keeps them elected, right? They have to do a good job. Otherwise, no matter how good Michael is, not going to work. But they've done an amazing job. They've been great. You're lucky you have great congressmen here. And woman, by the way, a great woman, very powerful woman. And they're going to do a great job. They'll do it together. They'll work together, and we'll supply what they need as they need it. We'll coordinate that, and we will immediately get the Army Corps, Michael, because you need roads built. We're talking about the bridge, we're talking about roads and things.
But will it be the Army Corps of Engineers, or will it be private military contractors being subcontracted by the Army Corps of Engineers? Curious. Yeah, we get it. If they go after FEMA, man, the damage could, like, it impossible to overstate how destructive that would be to the country. God, it's not even summer yet, man. It's not even summer yet. It's only been a few days. Boy, some administration this has been, huh? Vosh, we are on day 5.